Hello, I am Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together, we are
TwinFinity. We are twin flames in union who have been called to start sharing our 20-year journey through a series of videos. And this is now, I think, video number 7. We're going to be talking about angels and drill sergeants.
First of all, a little bit of a recap from last time. And before we even get to the recap, we are in a spot between our living room and our dining room where we have a angel figurine that has water flowing through it and a nice light in it, and it's just a very serene place to be.
Yes, and actually we try to do most of our videos outside, as you guys know, but this one, even though it was a beautiful day outside, we could have done a video outside, we had to do it with an angel because it just was very appropriate to have angels. In fact, I am wearing a bunch of angels too. I am a bit of an angelaholic, and I have so much angel jewelry, and I was like trying to go through my jewelry box trying to figure out what am I going to wear tonight. So I got my angel earrings on, I got an angel necklace, an angel pin, I don't know how well you can see that, and I even have an angel bracelet. I don't know how well that'll show up, but just put all the angels on, because if we're going to talk about angels, you got to be around angels. So yeah, just a little bit about my fountain back there. I love water. As a highly sensitive person, water and the sound of water, very healing. So this is in our house, and we leave it running all the time when we're home because we love it. So now let's do a bit of a recap.
Now we're at the recap.
Yeah.
Last time, our last video, we were feeling very close. In fact, we were feeling like we were already married.
Yeah.
And also we had the event of Angie meeting my parents and me keeping her for the night, which was hard on everybody, but we all got through it,
Yep.
my parents included. And also, we were having a lot of fun together. We were going for hikes and once in a while going out to the mountains, and things were all good. And we were, even our inner childs were having fun together. Although there was the odd rough bit once in a while that would come up. We were dealing with that and getting past that and growing through that. So things were very, very good.
They were. Yes, we were doing a lot of playing. But now in this story, we're starting into September, so summer's over, things are getting more into schedule, and I'm now looking for a job. If you remember from my video of the title Before We Were Us, I was sharing how I was very burnt out, just finishing university, 4.5 years of school, 4 years of counseling and working. So when I moved to Calgary, even before I met Rob, I had decided I was taking the summer off. Luckily, I have always been a saver, so I had enough money in the bank that I could just enjoy the summer without working. But now in our story, it's September of 1997, and I'm starting to look for a job.
And I'm also ramping into my busy season.
Yes.
But first, Angie's portion.
So while I'm looking for a job, I see this ad in the paper for a lady that does Reiki. And she was having a free intro night where she would explain what Reiki was and you could experience a session. I was kind of drawn to go because of a couple reasons. One, because I was a nurse and, obviously into healing and stuff. 2, because I was growing spiritually, reading spiritual books and drawn to spiritual stuff. And 3rd, because I was already sort of experiencing these weird things. One of the stories we didn't tell before, but it happened sometime in the summer, I don't even remember when, was I actually saw Rob's aura. We were together one day, and I just looked at him and I said, "Why do you have green and yellow colors around you?" And he said,
"I think you're seeing my aura."
And I was like, "You're what?" I never even heard the term, never heard the word. And he's explaining to me what an aura is.
I had introductions to auras. One of my previous angels, the Angelas, Angelinas.
He's had 3 Angelas.
Yes. She had seen little sparks of light around me, and she knew all about auras. She was one of many teachers that I've had along the way in my life. And she had brought me up to speed as to what was going on, and I had very much understood that auras could exist. So when Angie mentioned that she could see colors, light around me, I right away knew that she was seeing my aura.
Yeah, so I was already seeing energy without even understanding it or knowing or haven't heard the word clairvoyant, didn't know any of that yet. So anyway, I was just drawn to go to this Reiki intro night. So I went and connected very well with the lady. And when it got to my turn for her to do Reiki on me, she says to me, "Are you getting married?" And I was like, "No, why do you ask?" She said, "Well, you have so much love energy around you." So I explained to her that I had only met Rob like a month before, but oddly enough, we had such a deep connection. We were already feeling married and already calling each other a husband and wife after a month. So it explained to her why she was already feeling that energy, because she could read it off of me. So I was very intrigued, going, wow, like how does somebody read that energy? That's kind of neat. So I'm telling my friends about all this, and they're like, I want to go see too. I want to go to one of these intro nights. So we find out she's doing another one in mid-September, and we decide to go together. So this one I wrote about. Oddly, the first one, I don't know why, but I didn't write about it. Just too busy in the summer with everything else Rob and I had going on, because we had a busy summer. So I wrote, Elizabeth first told me to close my eyes and breathe deeply into my abdomen, picturing inhaling peaceful white light and exhaling any worries. Then she put her hands over my shoulders and said, "Welcome back, my friend. It's good to see you again." I felt like her soul was talking to mine. She asked how the relationship with Rob was going, and I said fabulous, because it was. We were having a great time. Yeah, we were having struggles here and there, but we were connecting so deeply. So she mentioned that I was growing at a very fast pace. Yes, she was right. We talked about the sexual abuse, and I told her that Rob and I have been working on it. She then told me that she was distracted while working on other people because she kept seeing a white light around my hands. When I asked what the white light was, she said I had healing hands. And I was like, wow, really? I mean, I'm a nurse, yes, but I didn't know I had healing hands or that she could actually see that. I was amazed. Then she worked on my shoulders for a while, and I just laid there feeling very peaceful. So as you know, if you've ever had Reiki, it is very relaxing. You can get into a nice deep state with it that's very nice and peaceful. And what was neat about her seeing the energy in my hands was, at the time I was a bit skeptical, thinking she was just sort of telling me this because she wanted me to take Reiki. You know, here she's telling me, well, you should take Reiki because you have very healing hands and this would be good for you. And I'm thinking, yeah, right, you're just trying to get clients. Well, as it turns out, I've now, many years later, seen this in other people and have told them they should take Reiki because I can see their energy. Mm-hmm. So I understand now what she was talking about because I have experienced it myself. So it was quite neat. This was a Wednesday that I went to see this woman. It was September 17th was the second time that I had seen her. That night was actually Rob's and my first date night.
Yes, date nights. With me going into a busier time at work, I knew that I would be so busy that I might not see Angie and have a chance to communicate with her in the same way that we had for a long time. Like this is going to be falling into early winter before things are going to really back off for me. So I thought it would be a real good idea, especially since I've been married and divorced before and kind of knew that relationships sometimes drift apart a bit when it comes to communication. I thought it would be a great idea to have a date night once a week. No work, no wild exercise, no badminton bike rides, or whatever. Just Angie and I spending time together with a chance to communicate.
And what was neat, it was actually in the summer, before we were even getting into the busy season of September, that we talked about a date night and had already planned it. And I actually wrote it in my journal. This was September 7th that I wrote about it. And if you can see that, we had a list that we had of different date night ideas that we were going to do.
Enough date nights to get us through at least a half a year.
Yeah, we had all these ideas of what we were going to do. So being that this was our first one, we had decided we were going to stay at Rob's apartment and watch a movie. And if I can find that in my journal now, I'm switching now between two journals because we're kind of...
Sometimes journals don't exactly fit videos. So halfway through this video, she's got to switch back and forth a little bit because there's a little bit of crossover of information.
Yeah. So I wrote in regards to our first date night, and this was Wednesday, September 17th, 1997. I'm on overload. I just had one of the most intense nights last night. Tonight, I swear I'm going to burst. Yesterday evening was Rob's and my first date night. We decided to stay home and watch Braveheart as we were snuggling in bed. Rob had made the bed all nice with candles lit, and it was beautiful, my romantic man. And it was. I remember walking into the apartment and there was candles everywhere. It was so beautiful.
I love candles. I find them just as calming as running water.
Yeah, it was really romantic. So I wrote, I felt so much love from Rob and for him. I started to cry out of joy. I was just feeling so full of love. I could feel Rob's love radiate through me. And then, as if that wasn't enough, I met my angel. So here we go. Crazy stories begin. I couldn't even really explain all the emotions that were in me. My body was so full. Then I talked with Rob and shared the reason for my tears. I told him about my angel even. I didn't expect that I was going to, but he didn't think I was nuts.
Well, I didn't think you were nuts. I've met other people before who have either communicated with or seen angels, but I was a little bit guarded on the thought that this was someone right beside me who's just experienced seeing an angel. And I was a little taken aback, but at the same time I had the ability to, well, slightly better than cope at a minimum.
Yeah. So I wrote, he didn't think I was nuts. I told him that she was floating in the room up in the corner. She was beautiful and wearing pinkish white dress and had long blonde curly hair. Something about her reminds me of Nicole, and Nicole again is my inner child. Now, before we get to that story of why she reminded me of Nicole, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit about the angel because I didn't write it as detailed as what I was experiencing. For those of you that have seen angels, I know some of you on Facebook have posted your own stories of your twin flame experience, and an angel was in your experience too. They're exquisite. She was at least 8 feet tall. I mean, she was floor to ceiling. She was huge, but beautiful and just radiated the strongest, most peaceful love energy. And speaking of energy, it was just so neat to watch her move. I mean, yes, I could see color and she was wearing clothes, but you could sort of see right through her. She didn't have a body like we have a body. And when she moved, you could see the energy just flow with her, like she was just graceful and elegant, the way she flowed and moved. It was beautiful. Just, there aren't words to describe the stunning beauty of her. So then I wrote, later we watched our movie and went to sleep. But about 3 a.m, we woke up. Only this time, I wasn't in my body. I wasn't in the present. I was back in my grandmother's house and in the basement in my uncle's room as a 3-year-old. Now, before I get further into this, I just want to explain this now is where I'm having a very intense flashback. One of the most, if not the most intense, most detailed flashbacks I had of the sexual abuse. I've broken out the graphic parts. I'm not going to read those because nobody really wants to hear that part. But if you are at this point in your life going through some of the intense healing and you might feel that this story will trigger you, feel free to pause and fast forward a bit. But if you want to, I also encourage you to kind of hang in there till the end because we do get to a point where I'm starting to actually understand and do huge amounts of healing, understanding why this happened to me and see my uncle in a whole different light and a whole different perspective. So do whatever works for you. If you need to fast forward, that's okay. So I'm now seeing myself as a 3-year-old in my uncle's room in the basement of my grandmother's house being abused. And this is now Nicole, again, my inner child. I'm connected deeply with her in this flashback. So I said I tried to push the flashback away at first, but it kept coming back. So I finally just stayed with it. Rob asked if I was okay, and I honestly said no. I told him what was happening. and told him it was just terrifying. It was all so clear. It felt like I was right there. I could see everything so clearly. I could even feel Nicole's fear. She was very vocal and told me what was happening. She felt so powerless. He was so big and strong, and he just picked her up and did whatever he wanted with her. She was so tiny, and she was terrified of him. And I love that I wrote the word terrified, because if you remember our video, The Runner and Chaser, over and over, I kept using the word terrified. And when I watched the video back, I thought, God, why did I say that word so many times? But actually now it's very appropriate, because why I was running is I was being triggered by this past, all of the memories of my past, and it was terrifying. So much so that, yes, now that I'm reading this, the little girl in me, when this was happening many years ago and I was being abused, she was terrified. That was the exact word. So again, she was saying she was terrified of him. She gave up fighting because it was hopeless. No one heard and wouldn't leave her, and he wouldn't leave her alone. His eyes were so piercing as he kept staring at her. She couldn't stand having him look at her, and she felt helpless and alone and powerless. I could see the blue blanket on his bed and the way the lamp cast shadows on the room, and even all the pictures on the wall. This flashback was so detailed. It was literally like I was there. I mean, even the shadows, the way they were cast in the room from the little light, just everything was so detailed. So I'm going to skip some of these graphic parts and we'll go back to something not so detailed. So I wrote, when he's touching me and it hurts, I get scared, so I leave my body. My angel is there and her name is Sabrina. Now this is the angel I had just seen the night before, which is amazing. And now I'm connecting why something about her when I first saw her and met her reminded me of my inner child. She was also there many, many years ago when I was a 3-year-old. So I wrote, her name is Sabrina, and I go to see her up where she's floating in the ceiling. I know her and I feel safe with her. She reminds me that I'm not a bad girl and that this isn't my fault. She puts a white shield around my body so I will be safe and will be able to go back in my body. My soul is out of my body right now, up with Sabrina, where I'm safe. I get a glimpse of my uncle's childhood. He's experienced lots of abuse and he's a still hurting victim himself. I've done nothing wrong. He just doesn't know any better. The only way he knows how to deal with his past and his pain is to hurt. So he hurts others in order to avoid his own pain. Now what's so neat about this, and I love synchronicities, just yesterday, Saturday, on Facebook, I was seeing that a couple years ago I had posted something about hurt people hurt people. And if you remember, or if you know anything about Facebook, I know some of you aren't on Facebook, you watch us on YouTube. But if you're familiar with Facebook, it will actually bring back some of your past memories that you can reshare. And I reshared this thing that was really neat. Before I had even read about this and remembered that I had shared this from a couple years ago, that's what I was going to explain in here, is that hurt people hurt people. If we don't know how to deal with our own pain, sometimes we take it out on other people because it's the only way we know how to deal with our pain. So there aren't evil people in the world. There aren't bad people in the world. There's just simply hurt people that don't know any other way to deal with it. And that's what I was realizing in this flashback, is that my uncle wasn't a horrible, evil person. He just was hurting himself. So again, I wrote, he doesn't know any other way to deal with his pain. I'm able to go back to my body now, and I'm protected by my angel, and she's with me. She never leaves me. She is committed to stay with me throughout life and to protect me and guide me. So I wrote, I was shaking and crying in Rob's arms, reliving all of this, as if I was there, yet still feeling like I was with him in the present and having him hold me. I kept telling him how powerless and how small that I felt. He worked through it with me until I was able to be at the point where I understood why my uncle was doing what he was doing, and I could feel compassion and forgiveness for him. What an amazing experience. I mean, yes, it sounds horrible to have a flashback like that, but honestly, it was one of the best gifts that I'd ever gotten, was to be able to see things from a completely different light and understand where my uncle was coming from, to see things from his perspective. And I have thanked Rob many times for the gift that he'd given me by helping me with this. You know, as I've shared, I've been in counseling for 4.5 years before meeting him, but I had never dealt with anything this intense. I'd never had flashbacks like this before. And it was such a gift to have Rob help me. The depth of love for somebody to stand by you through the deepest, darkest experiences, it literally still brings me to tears, the gratitude I have for him. And I truly want to publicly thank him, because for somebody to stick by you through your darkest, hardest times is an amazing gift that not everybody can give you. And I just feel completely blessed to have that.
It was a bit terrifying for me. I am not a professional counselor. I might have staff at work that I deal with every so often, but really I was having to just follow my own intuition as to what to do to mesh with what Angie was feeling and to try to help her work her way through this. I was somewhat terrified too. I was totally afraid of saying the wrong thing and totally blowing up the whole situation. But I kind of had to trust myself, and I kind of had to trust that what Angie was telling me was something that we could both work with. It was terrifying, yes, and in many ways very beautiful at the same time. Very exhausting.
Yes. In fact, that was the last thing I ended with. I said I was so exhausted, and I was, because, oh my Lord, reliving all of that was very intense, and feeling it as if I was that 3-year-old again. I mean, here I'm a 23-year-old, you know, at this time that we're experiencing this. So I'm going back 20 years in my life and reliving something as if it was happening now, and it was very exhausting. And I can imagine just as much so for Rob. I mean, God, the intensity, the scariness of facing that with somebody and not knowing, am I doing her any harm? Should I leave her life? Is this all happening because I'm with her?
And it was also 3 a.m.
Yes, exactly.
Had work to go to.
Yes,
work
this is
that
a
I just
Wednesday
done.
night. So yeah, he's got to work. So the last thing I wrote about the angel experience was this whole angel thing is fascinating, intriguing, and a little hard to believe. I was feeling a little crazy. I'm starting to wonder, am I nuts? Now, what was amazing also about this, and I've got to flip back to my next journal now, is the next day I'm about to call this lady that I've just experienced the trial Reiki session with, because I need to tell her what the hell's just happened in my life. She sees energy, obviously, so maybe she won't think I'm crazy, or maybe she'll tell me this whole angel thing is normal. So I literally had my hand reached out for the phone, about to pick it up when it rang. I go to answer it, and you wouldn't be amazed to know who it is. It's her. So she says to me, or I wrote, it was neat how I was just about to call Elizabeth yesterday, but she called me. She told me she had help in knowing I needed to talk with her. Wow, what an incredible synchronicity for her to call me as I was about to phone her. So what was also neat is I had told her again when I had seen her just the night before that I was interested to do Reiki, but I needed to find a job first. That was important before I could spend money on doing Reiki. Well, lo and behold, she's calling also to tell me that she needs a Reiki assistant. And hey, why don't we swap services? I'll work for her as an assistant and she'll teach me Reiki. So I'm blown away. I mean, I'm just like, really? Like my whole life's just turned 180 degrees. So I wrote, I'm going to take Reiki 1 and 2 in November, and we'll be working with Elizabeth as an assistant, helping her with advertising and pamphlets. Wow, how awesome. And it was. I mean, just amazing synchronicity. So that's the intense angel story. That's only one of many. Angels became a huge part of my life, but we'll get into that next video and videos. For now, we're going to turn it over to Rob and let him tell you a little bit about what was happening in his life now that it was September.
Well, for me, again, just one more time about work, where it's real busy for fall and into early winter, I was ramping up into what I call serious season. It was busy. I was working more hours. Hey, I'd had my time off with summer. I'd had a couple, 3 good weeks with Angie, but it was now going to be getting to a point where I was going to be working lots, and it's very intense work, very busy work.
Yeah.
And when I get into those modes, I have to become very structured. I have to know when I'm getting up. I've got my days planned. In fact, I've got the next 2 weeks of my life planned. I can tell you day after day, hour after hour, what I'm doing, when I'm getting up, when I'm going to work, when I'm coming home, when I'm going to have a workout, when I'm going to go to badminton, when I'm going to have a half an hour to make a phone call.
What you're eating,
yes.
What you're wearing.
Yeah, I have my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday shirts, my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday
clothes
breakfast.
For specific days.
Yes, I've got everything all set out. I grocery shop the same way every week, same time. I have to, because I've got so much going on. Like, if I'm going to balance work and seeing Angie and my athletics life, I've got to have it put together and ready to go.
And what was the term that you later years called yourself?
Later in my life, when I'm in my long-term karmic relationship, as Angie and I are in separation, my partner then termed it being a drill sergeant, because I've absolutely got myself set up like, get up out of bed now, go to work now, come home now. Like, I'm just grinding myself full speed. And a couple of other people that I know that are into past life stuff had always told me that I'd been in the military in other lives. And so therefore, I guess I kind of knew how to not only drill sergeant myself, but also to respond to that. So really, I am going into what I would now call drill sergeant season.
Yes, big time. So now the next part in my journal is a little bit about drill sergeanting that I experienced for the first time. I mean, I had all this fun with this man and so much love and fun through the summer, and now I'm like, what the hell's this drill sergeant? Of course, we didn't term it that then, but the experience was there.
It was just called being serious.
Yes, and intense.
And intense.
So I had seen the angel on a Wednesday night, and now in our story it's a Sunday, and we are going to climb a mountain. So I wrote...
this mountain is called Doorjam Mountain.
Yeah, and it's a hell of a mountain.
It's short but very steep.
Ugh. First and only
Short
time
for a
I ever
mountain.
climbed it, and never again. Rob wants to take me again. I'm like, no, once was good, thanks. Never again. So I wrote Sunday. Rob and I went to the mountains. We climbed Doorjam, and I got really bitchy. Yes, I did. Felt like Rob expected too much of me, which wasn't about him. It was about my dad. Now, the fact is, through my years of counseling, I learned to take ownership for my stuff. So I was very aware of what projection was, and I wasn't going to project my stuff onto him. But the fact was, some of it was about him. I was trying to take in my journal way too much ownership for what I was feeling, but some of it was about Rob's drill sergeant.
Well, yeah, I knew it could take, just maybe 1.87 hours to climb this mountain, and we only had so many hours in the day to get this done. So it was a case of we had to maintain a certain pace, so let's go and get this mountain climbed and enjoy it from the top for a little while and get back to the vehicle.
And it was kind of like, go, 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 climb, climb, climb. And I'm like, what happened to the fun climbs and hikes we used to do, where you take my hand and say, don't chase the fun, let the fun come to you. That was our first mountain climb. Now it's like, go, go, go. I'm like, wow, this isn't fun. So I wrote, I felt like I was projecting my issues of my dad onto Rob. So we had a big discussion about it at the top of the mountain and worked it out. It was so hard for me not to get mad at Rob. I left for a bit just to get refocused, and then I came back and gave Rob a kiss. And he said to me,
I will always love you.
Yes.
With all that was going on at the top of that mountain, with the stress that I was feeling from Angie, and also some of my own internal stresses, which were causing my drill sergeant to come out, I was still feeling very loving, because I wasn't feeling like this was anything bad, like really bad. It was just a growth phase, and I was just so happy to have Angie up there. The drill sergeant, sure, he was there, but the loving part of me, intensely there. I felt like I was going to be in love forever.
Aww.
Apparently I was.
You didn't lie when you said you'd always love me.
Very
Which
true.
still melts me when I read that. I'm like, oh, it was true. Aww. So then we have another drill sergeant story to share. And
this one I didn't like very much.
yeah, this one's rough. This was now September 30th. I wrote, I figured out where the anger towards Rob is coming from. I'm feeling a lot of pressure from him. Real or not, I'm not sure. But pressure to be and do everything. Almost like my dad expected of me. Rob puts a lot of pressure on himself, and I'm feeling like he expects me to be perfect too. Wow, big stuff. I have to be strong and do what I need to do for me, but I'm also putting a lot of pressure on myself, which is what I'm feeling as well. What I need to do is talk with Rob about this and let him know where I'm coming from. I need to listen to my body and soul and take care of me rather than doing what Rob wants of me. That evening, I wrote a little bit more about all the stuff that I'm feeling. I said, here I was just feeling better about Rob and I, and then I went to his place. We were going to badminton together, and 2 comments from him, and I felt angry and decided not to go. I figured out what it is. Every time I'm around him lately, I feel angry, and the anger keeps growing. Rob is stressed and tense due to work and his busy time of year, and it's carrying over to me and into his personal life. He's very serious in the morning and the evening. I've been feeling for a while now that I'm losing him. Yeah, I was. And now I understand that I am. The playful Rob is around less and less lately. So you remember all those stories that we told you from last time about our summer? Playful Rob's going away.
Well, I, of course, was going to take Angie to badminton. What had happened was I met her at the door, and okay, I'm ready to go. I've got my sports shorts on, I got my techie shirt on, I got my headband on, and I've got my badminton stuff all ready to go. And she shows up to go to an athletic event wearing jeans.
They were loose-fitting jeans.
You don't wear jeans to a gym atmosphere. It spilled out of me. My impatience spilled right out of me.
Oh, did it ever.
And I couldn't really control it. I didn't really want to control it. I was so flabbergasted. But then again, I was down to just a few minutes to get to badminton.
Yeah, you were in a rush to go.
27 minutes. Let's go. And why are you in jeans? Yeah, okay. I was very intense.
Yeah. So I wrote, there's a purposeful goal to everything instead of just fun. Badminton has to be a serious workout, and he has to play all night, not just a few games. A bike ride has to be a marathon, not enjoyment. A walk has to be a race. He's becoming very intense due to work, but his intensity is carrying over to everything else. And the thing is, I feel like I'm picking up on Rob's intensity and stress. Now, again, back then, I didn't know I was highly sensitive, and I didn't know I was empathic. So here I am feeling all of his stuff, and I'm feeling all this intensity, this go, go, go. And I didn't know what to do with it. I had all this energy that wasn't mine, but I didn't know how to process it.
Being highly sensitive, she was picking up everything that I was transmitting.
Yes.
And that stuff felt normal to me because I'm used to drill sergeanting myself.
I wasn't even used to experiencing it.
She had no idea what to do with this energy. And I didn't really understand how much of it I was sending out myself.
Yeah. So I was saying the results are having no fun, and I'm concentrating too much on doing everything correct and not enjoying myself. Like tonight, I just wanted to have fun, not go for an intense workout. Rob's 2 comments were, are you loaded up on carbs? In other words, are you ready for a workout? And why are you wearing jeans? Here we go.
Yeah.
I was not going all out on energy tonight. My goal was simply about having fun and socialization. I'm sorry, I thought you were going to say something.
No.
This is where it's been bothering me for a while, and every little thing about him is just pissing me off and sending me over the edge. I really need to discuss all this with Rob and tell him how I'm feeling. So this is where we're starting to get into some rough stuff. I'm going highly into 5D. I'm seeing auras, I'm seeing angels, I'm reading spiritual books, and he's super intense in 3D with work.
Yeah, my summer is coming to an end. My climbing the mountains is coming to an end because snow is falling in the mountains. My level of spiritual growth has leveled off. In fact, it's getting shoved into the background because of 3D work issues. So she's going one direction, I'm going completely the other as far as the coping mechanism is concerned. And yeah, it's not a ton of fun anymore.
No.
We're feeling quite disconnected. Two different places.
Yes. And what's neat about the timing of sharing this video is Rob's in the same place right now of, not necessarily drill sergeant, but in the same place of he's at his very, very busy season of work.
Over the years, I've learned how to manage it better, and Angie and I have talked about it, and other people and I have too. So I've learned to be less intense. I've learned to choose when to be intense.
Yes.
But it's still there. We still look at each other this past September, know that I'm going into it, and it's all just a lot more awareness, understanding.
Yeah, and we've both grown enough that we know how to manage both of ourselves.
We can get through it, but I still feel it. I still feel my drill sergeant that, 10 minutes before I need to jump in my truck, my brain's already in work. It's hard to give an honest hug. An honest hug for me lasts 10 seconds now instead of 25 seconds. Because after 10 seconds, I'm already go get in the truck.
But I've grown enough that I know I'm highly sensitive. I know I'm empathic. So when I'm picking up his stuff, I know it's his stuff. It's not mine. I can release it because I don't need to own it. And I don't take offense when he's in drill sergeant mode because I know he's there because he needs to be. He's not there because he's being mean or cruel. So we're in a way better place.
Yes, I come out of drill sergeant mode a lot easier, and also Angie has permission to let me know if I'm getting a little too intense. And, and yeah, I totally believe her. This has been actually a good fall.
Yes, very good.
I've got through this quite well, very happily. It's been wonderful, really.
Now, the other reason we wanted to share that he's in his intense time of work is because in a couple of videos ago, we had mentioned we were going to start doing tangent talks. So these were talks that were on specific topics that maybe we have touched on in our videos, but they're going to be separate from our stories. We've not been able to get to those because of his work schedule. He's literally working 6 days a week. His only day off is Sunday, and well, this is our one day to do our story video.
So we will probably get into this for sure in January, early January.
Yes.
Maybe one before then. Yeah, okay, patience.
We are feeling so called to share more, and we have so much we want to share, but timing right now is just what it is.
Come home from work, eat, sleep, get up, go back.
Yeah, he's literally working like 70-hour weeks, so it's a bit crazy. Which also brings me to thank you for all of you who have connected with us on our page on Facebook, TwinFinity's, and who've been asking us questions. We're super happy to answer your questions. That's what we're here for. We feel called to not only share our story, but help you get through your journey. That's part of our mission.
Our story has brought up numerous questions.
Yes.
And Angie's been typing away like crazy, and when I come home at night and I'm having supper, she's bouncing questions and comments off of me. But
he's just not able to answer right now, so I apologize if you have questions for him. Some of you I've shared that I'll get Rob to ask that or answer that later, but for now I'll answer it just because he's coming home late at night. And
she asks me for my answer, but she's doing the typing in most situations. I'm doing the eating. I need to eat once in a while.
Yeah. One other thing we want to talk about before we wrap this up is, again, one of our very first tangent talks will be on the inner child because it's so critical to healing. As we're sharing our story, my inner child, going through the flashbacks and healing all of the sexual abuse, his inner child, we really connected inner child-wise. I have permission to mention this woman's name. Her name is Claire Williams. She's on Facebook and has just started a group called, and I want to make sure I get it right, so I'm going to read it off my notes.
That scrap of paper there.
Yeah. Healing Inner Child. So if you're in the process right now of doing a lot of the inner child work, please feel free to connect with her group. We will be doing our own video or maybe even videos on inner child, depending on, how it goes. And we will be sharing those in that group. But for now, if you feel pulled to work, that's a great group to start connecting with. So I think that's all for now. Unless you have any last little bits.
I have nothing else.
All right, I think we're going to wrap it up. We try to keep these short, and we're noticing that we're 40 minutes, so we're going to say goodnight. Last thing, though, remember always to go within to connect with your twin, because you are one. And we'll leave you with that and say good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.